Hi, everybody. So what people are missing, almost on purpose, it's on purpose. What people are missing is that Trump is a symptom of a greater problem. And the greater problem is we have a completely corrupted government. You know, when people said about Bernie Sanders that, oh, that guy's pie in the sky, he wants to have single-payer health care and free college, you know, stuff the rest of the Western world takes for granted. They never finish that sentence. They go, you know, we can't have single-payer. That's fairy dust. Why? Because our government is completely bought and paid for and corrupted, and it no longer represents the will of the people. The frickin' Cambridge study proved that, all right? So we know that we live in a plutocracy. This is an oligarchy. We know that this isn't a democracy. This isn't a representative government. So it's the weird thing that people don't understand, that's why we have Trump. We have Trump because people since 1980 have been voting for Democrats, and the Democrats have been turning their back on the workers. That's why. So they've been doing it, and every 4 years they're told, keep doing it, and it'll get better. Keep doing it. And the last time they did it was for Barack Obama, and Barack Obama stuck it in their ass, and he foreclosed on all their houses, and he didn't help Main Street. In fact, he then went on to try to cut Medicare and Social Security at the same time as he's trying to pass the TPP. So I don't have to tell you this or the people who watch my show normally, but the people right now in the Democratic Party who are doing exactly what you're doing are totally taking their eye off the ball, and they're screwing up again. Again, Trump is not the problem. He is a symptom of the problem, and they want to get rid of Trump. Trump is an incompetent maniac. He's a narcissistic megalomaniac, which is different than Pence. Pence is not an outward maniac. He's a very controlled maniac who's loved by the Christian right wing, who knows how to get things done. He's already been a governor, and he's interested in governing, unlike Trump. So people want to get rid of Trump now, even though they'll admit to me that having Mike Pence might actually turn out to be a little worse than Trump. And what I say to them, Jordan, is you son of a bitch. Those are the same people who told me that if I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, we were going to get Trump, and that was an existential threat to the country. Now they are willing, because of their hatred for Trump, to risk something they'll admit is worse than Trump. Those motherfuckers, how dare they wag their finger at me when I stood on principle and wouldn't vote for a corporatist warmonger, and now they claim they're standing on principle to get rid of Trump, ushering in something they know will be worse and harder to defeat at the ballot box. That's what people keep missing. People keep saying to me, you still think Hillary was worse than Trump? And I'm like, could you be more myopic? Could you be more nearsighted? As if the only election to ever happen in our lifetime is that one in 2016. No, there were all those elections before, and then there's going to be all the elections after. So if you just pretend that our whole life is just that one election, then yes, you're right. But that's why we have Trump, because you're so nearsighted and stupid on purpose. There were all those elections before that we voted for Democrats. Turned out they were Republicans in Democrat clothing. So that's why people wouldn't come out to vote for Hillary Clinton in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and that's why she couldn't beat the most beatable candidate in the history of the world. She couldn't beat him. And that tells those corporate Democrats nothing. And you know why? Because they're being paid to not understand what happened in 2016, and now they have the establishment media pushing a Russia narrative that comes from the deep state. That's exactly what's happening right now. It's a complete no accountability for the Democratic corporatists. You see it happening. I think the Democratic Party there's no doubt, and people need to really hear this, and I'm going to keep saying it every time I'm on the Young Turks, that the Democratic Party, meaning the DNC and all their corporate lobbyist friends and Wall Street, would rather lose to Trump and the Republicans than let a progressive win a primary. And that is a fucking fact. And people don't realize that the enemy of progressives isn't the Republicans. The enemy of the progressives is Tom Perez, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Dianne Feinstein, Chuck Schumer, and the Democratic Party. They are the enemy of progressives. If you are for the $15 minimum wage, if you are for single payer, your cause will meet a graveyard inside the Democratic Party. That's what Shama Sawant said on this very show, because when she fought for the $15 minimum wage in Seattle and they got it, she had to fight against the Democratic mayor to get it. You just saw a Democratic mayor in Baltimore veto a $15 minimum wage. The Democratic mayor who ran on the $15 minimum wage, once she got power, vetoed it in Baltimore. So this is why the Democratic Party is controlled opposition. And I understand why people say that. I believe it too. I believe that the Democratic Party's first agenda is to fucking defeat the agenda of the worker. That's why they first made sure they had to cheat Bernie Sanders, and then they gaslight you when you point it out. By the way, the California Democratic Party this is how corrupted the Democratic Party is. The California Democratic Party, which we thought we took over the party because in January we had an intra-party election of the delegates to the party convention, which happened in Sacramento last week. So we had an overwhelming majority of progressives won as delegates. Turns out that's only 1/3 of the voters. There's 2 separate sets of super delegates that get to vote that crush the progressives. So even though the majority of the populace in California are progressive, we weren't allowed to take over the party because the rules are rigged against the progressives in the California party. And guess who they elected, Jordan? They elected a pharmaceutical fucking lobbyist, a guy who defeated the bill for cheaper prescription drugs in California that Bernie supported last election. That guy who took $100,000 to defeat that fucking cheaper pharmaceutical bill is now the chairman of the California Democratic Party. And you tell me that there's a reason why I should be a Democrat? You know, there's only goddamn 6 media companies in the whole country. You're getting it from one of the 6 giant corporations who are in bed with all the other corporations. We live in a goddamn oligarchy. That's not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating. That has been scientifically proven in fucking universities that we live in an oligarchy. Paul Krugman, who stumped for Hillary Clinton, will freely admit we live in an oligarchy. And people still wag their finger. Why won't you vote for Hillary Clinton? So, all right.